You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
And now your host of California MUFON Radio, Lorien Fenton.
Welcome, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton, and we're here on Inception Radio Network. And as you all know, it is the home of my favorite app in the entire world. As a matter of fact, I just got off work and I was racing home, and I saw that my app was beeping at me and telling me that the show's going to start. So it's working for me as a calendar reminder, folks. But for you, it'll just remind you that, yeah, you're going to have to hear my voice for a couple hours tonight here on Inception Radio Network, and all is good. So we love our app. And the other thing that I'm really trying to promote here, really, I think it's amazing for Inception Radio Network, is the Insiders Club. You guys really got to take advantage of that. There's going to be some amazing interviews that myself and many other of the hosts here, folks, we've got all kinds of plans for you. We're going to do interviews, and we're going to put them up on the Insiders Club, and the only way you're going to be able to access these interviews is by paying the $5 a month membership fee to be an Insider Club member. So there you go. So who knows? I'm going to try. See, 2 weeks ago, Stu Webb and Preston James, Preston, I think that's his name. Preston were on with us, Dr. Preston James, and it did not get recorded in the archives for the network. So I'm a little concerned about that, because it was truly an amazing show as usual when Stu and Preston come on. And I just really got to figure out a way to get that back up there in its entirety in a whole new format, I guess. So what I'm thinking about doing is, over the holidays, I will do an interview just for MJ wants to do it again. Well, what I think I'm going to end up having to do, folks, is I think I'm going to get the two of them together over the holidays and do just a recording for a few hours, all about aliens and the fallen angels and the demons and all the, the take that those two have on it. I'm going to put it in the Insiders Club. I think that's what we're going to do with it. And, it'll end up out there into the world too. So I'm sure many of you will get to hear it in many different formats, but it'll be a nice addition for the Insiders Club to have that there in perpetuity, as they say. I think that's how they say it. I'm not sure. Well, okay, guess what? I'm your guest tonight, everyone. Just what you wanted to hear. Well, I don't know. See, I've never done this before, but I was thinking about taking calls tonight, and MJ is going to be my special co-host guest tonight. So he'll come on about half hour into the show after the first break, and we'll answer questions about MUFON. If you guys want to hear a story from either one of us, you're more than welcome to ask. If there's anything that we've done before that you need to more clarification on about a guest that's been on the show, please ask me. Usually I know I pretty well know most of the people I bring on the show, and they're, I don't call them, great friends or family, but they're very good UFO community acquaintances. We all know each other on a first name basis. It's not like I call and they go, Lorien who? They answer the phone and they go, Lorien, and they ask me what I'm doing. So I think we're on a friendly terms with at least 99% of the people I've interviewed. There are a few out there, I'm sure that want to throw socks at me or something, but who knows? Oh my gosh. It's been a wild week, and let's see. Now, I am, due to the kindness of a stranger that has become a very good friend, and I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going to call him Mr. J again. He has given me the money to go to Laughlin. He thought it was important enough that I be there that he actually, out of his own pocket, said, here's the money to go. Please go. You have to go. And I am just so flabbergasted that anybody out there would just hand me that kind of money to go to a conference. I was just so blessed. And he's such a good friend, and just a new friend. And I just want to thank him live right now on the air from the bottom of my heart. It's the best thing that anybody's ever done for me, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to pay him back. Yeah, I'm not taking it as a gift. I'm taking it as a loan. So there we go, folks. So I am going to Laughlin. Now, I'm not planning on doing live feed for the two. I'm only going to be there a couple of days this time, and it's going to be kind of a whirlwind event because I'm sharing a table with friends. I got on the phone the other day and said, hey, I got the money to come. Is there anything what I can do? How could I be there? And I'm just not going to have the energy nor the time. I have to drive 10 or 12 hours there, and I have to drive back in 2 days, 10 or 12 hours straight. I don't have enough money to fly. I don't have enough money to be, luxury about the whole thing, but I am getting there. So I will be able to do, though, some Insider Club interviews, some very personal interviews. I'm meeting up with several people there that we've been wanting to talk, some deep, dark secrets for quite some time. So that's all I'm going to tell you, folks, is that I'm going to be doing that. And those recordings will go in the Insider Club, and there'll probably be 2 or 3 hour recordings in there from the Laughlin event. So just so if you don't make it, that's what I'm going to do for you guys, and I am going to get there. So that's number one item on the list tonight. Number 2 is that if you are at the Laughlin event, if you are going, please come and find me. I will be at the Aquarius radio table with Janet and Sasha Lesson. There will be a big banner behind me that says IRN on one side and Revolution Radio on the other. And it's huge. You can't miss me. It says California MUFON Radio on one side and Fenton Perspective on the other, because that is my other show. And it's just giant. And I've got little handouts of reminders of when the California MUFON Radio show is. I just love to meet you all. So please, if you can, if you're going to be there, please find me and say hello, shake my hand, and, just say hi, because I'd love to know who my listeners are. It's fabulous. I used to think I had 22 listeners. That's a big joke in my life. Oh, yeah, I've got all 22 listeners. And recently I found out I've actually more than that. So if all 22 of you show up at Laughlin, it'd be wonderful to meet you. So it'd be great. Okay, so that's number 2 item. Oh, and the third item tonight on my board, oh my gosh, it is the MUFON UFO sighting statistics for October 2014. Yay! Oh God, this is, I live for this email. I must have a boring life, you guys, because I think this is the most coolest thing about being a member of MUFON in the whole thing. I swear to you, I look for this email every month. I don't know about MJ. We'll ask him, but to me, it's like candy. It's like, oh, wow, so cool. Okay, anyhow, here we go. Number of reports this month by country. United States, of course, is 642. Now, I think that's down a little bit. I think it was around 700 last month. I'm going to have to start comparing months. That's what I'm going to do. You know what? Since I'm so crazy about this, I'll just start building a database with it. Then I'll give you guys comparisons too, and then you'll just go, oh no, Lorien's getting too scientific for us. We're not going to listen to her anymore. So, okay. So we got the United States at 642. Canada only had 30. Oh, only 30 reports. Oh, that's just really sad. I know they had more sightings than that. Come on, Canada. You guys got to start reporting more. United Kingdom, 23. I think they were about 23 last month. India, 22. Now, India's pulled way up there over the European countries, and the rest of them, 6, 5, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. And, that's only because I don't think the people in the European countries and Russia and China and those type of places really know to call MUFON and let them know about this. But it's interesting that we even get reports from these countries. What kind of bothers me is that Ireland only had 1 report, New Zealand only had 1 report, and where's the other one? Japan only had one report. And those are countries where they've got lots of videos and cameras and cell phones. And, you think everybody be out there just like going, oh, I saw a sighting. I'm going to let MUFON know, and just get on their cell phone and send off something to the website. You think it'd be pretty quick, but no, we only got one. So we're going to have to beef that up. If anybody's listening to me from Europe or Australia or New Zealand or any of those places, Japan, any of those places, please remember, tell all your UFO friends, if you see something and it's anomalous and you don't know what it is and you got a date and a time and a place, just, get a hold of MUFON and let them know, because I think it's really important that we start tracking, as well as the United States, Canada, Mexico, the upper part of South America, we start tracking worldwide events and sightings as well. I think that's very, very important. So anyhow, so there we have it on that. Now let's get down to the fun part. By state. Okay, California, of course, had 95 sightings reported. Yeah, God, we're just busy over here, you guys. I think the aliens like us. Maybe we taste better. I don't know. Texas had 42. Florida had 36. Colorado had 33. Now that's up a little bit from last month. New York had 28. Pennsylvania 26. Michigan 25. Missouri 24. Okay, MJ, where are you on this list? Looking for Wisconsin. You guys only had one report. Oh, I'm scared. We're going to have to do something about that. I'm going to have to send them over your way. I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, look, guys, don't fly over California as much. Head over to Wisconsin, because MJ's got nothing to do. He needs work. So that's what we'll do. Hey, you're not piping in, MJ. You're being quiet. Am I scaring you? I thought you'd at least cut in by now and say, no, don't send him my way. Okay. Shape of object. Spheres 153. Circles are at 77. Star-like. The star-like one has really moved up. There were 69 reportings last month that were star-like, described as star-like. And that's fascinating to me, because star-like used to be near the bottom, and it has completely changed in the last year. I just can't believe this. There must be a different type of ship, or a ship that is glowing like a star and twinkling, or doing something out there that we have just started dealing with. I mean, something's going on, guys. Anyhow, triangle 65, and I'm one of them, and I haven't made my report to MUFON yet because I've been too busy, but I've got to make my report to MUFON about my triangle craft that I saw last week, and I told you guys all about it. Then unknown. Now, see, this is kind of bothering me, because unknown is at 57. And I'm not necessarily sure that unknown probably wasn't birds or planes or, things like that. It's a high number of improbability or unprobable. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but high probability that if it's unknown, it's probably something that can be explained away. It's just my opinion, folks. And the other category at 52, which is way up there, is probably something you can explain away. Because even during all the sky watches I do and I go to and that we hold for the MUFON group, it just seems to me that there are many birds up there. We saw a flock of white, what are those? Pelicans. Yeah, white pelicans way up in the sky flying at night. Everybody thought it was a flock of UFOs. And I'm like, no, folks, those are birds. And I got binoculars out and I proved it to them it was birds. But they absolutely wanted to believe it was a whole bunch, like 7 or 8 white orby looking, UFOs. And I just said, look, you guys, those are birds. I can tell. And they're like, no, we want it to be UFOs. I said, sorry, it's birds. And then and also the night I saw the triangle, somebody said, oh, it's just that light in the sky's not moving. It's just not moving. It's got to be a UFO. And it was really bright. And I'm like, nope, that's a plane. See, I live in the area and these people don't. And I know the patterns of all the jets that come through. And I know the satellites pretty well in that area as well. And I was like, nope, it's a plane. And eventually they could see that it was moving and it was a plane. But it wouldn't surprise me at all that all these unknowns and others are actually planes and birds and things like that. That's my point here. Okay, fireball. Now, this one is really cool. 37. boomerangs 34, cylinders. The cylinder ones are a trip. Now that I've seen the triangle, I'm going to have to put the word out that I want to see the cylinder one, because that's the one that truly fascinates me. I mean, just mind-bogglingly fascinates me. I remember a story, and since I'm the guest tonight, I'm going to tell you guys about this. I remember a story about a truck driver that was pulling in Texas to a roadside cafe, and he's getting out of his truck and heading into the restaurant, and not suddenly, but I don't know how suddenly, this cylinder, slow moving, very low. All the witnesses said it was like 200 feet off the ground, came over a hill, and it's like a cigar, but maybe more like a pipe. I would think it was more like a pipe. It wasn't fat in the middle. And it just slowly moved, had no lights, nothing, just this giant metallic pipe in the sky, flying slow over them in Texas, and just takes off into the distance and slowly, disappears in the horizon. Oh my God. And it was huge. I mean, it was like, from what I remember from the story, and there were, I think they said about 200 feet long, maybe something like that. Maybe half the size of a football field, just huge. And then there were waitresses, and there were truck drivers, and there were people having their morning coffee. I mean, there were tons of people that saw this. This isn't just like one person. This was like a mass sighting. And I can't remember how many years ago it was. I want to say in the mid 90s. And just down near a border town, little tiny town, and just blew people away. And that would be phenomenal. What I would give to see that would just be so cool. I'd probably be chasing after it, going, wait, stop, slow down, land, take me. Anyhow, okay, so, and then there's the chevron, the teardrops, the eggs, and they're all down there in the cigar shape actually moved up. It's at 17. My gosh, diamond moved up 2 to 20. And the chevron, egg-shaped flash, and cone, and bullet missile type, and blimpy type, and Saturn-like, and crosses are all down under 10. So there you go. So anyhow, yeah, this is my favorite email from MUFON. I just love this thing. I can't believe it. Now, what I'm going to try to do, folks, is I've been having a little trouble with my computer as usual. Somebody's got to come tell me what to do with this thing. I don't know what to do. I'm having moments of just wanting to take it and chuck it out into the backyard, but then how would I communicate with you guys? That would be awful. So, what it's doing is, I'll tell you guys all this. Every time I try to open up a Word document, or every time I try to open up Photoshop or anything like that, it says Microsoft C++ library something something, and then it does this thing where it keeps opening windows and beeping at me for like 10 minutes, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm ready to chuck it. Like I said, it's ready to go into the trash, but I can't afford a new one right now, so I'm just going to have to put up with this for a while. Okay, now, let's see. Trying to get into chat. So, in about 15 minutes, MJ is going to join me after the bottom of the hour, and we're going to answer all your questions about MUFON and anything else you want to do. And if you want to call in tonight, folks, call in, please. I never do this. I don't do callers for the guests, because I really like to keep them on a roll and just keep the conversation flowing. And I love taking questions from you guys from chat. You guys are so smart, and it's just amazing your questions that you come up with. And so I always try to dedicate the last half hour of the show 2 questions from the chat room. So that's kind of my way of doing it. And we're trying to figure out a way so people can just email their questions. But, the chat room's easy to pop into. So everybody's got a cell phone now, and they can pop in there, and it shouldn't be any trouble. So that's what we usually do. But tonight, later, at the bottom of the hour, after the first commercial break, you guys are more than welcome to call in and ask us anything you want. In the meantime, I don't know if I've ever told any of my stories here on California MUFON Radio. I doubt that I have. I do think I told everybody my super soldier mind control trip that happened to me in 2011. I believe that is one of the stories I have mentioned. I don't know if I've told the bunny rabbit story, but I'm going to tell it now, because even if you've heard it before, I'm sorry. Just going to have to hear it again. And this is what got me moving forward, I believe, heading off in this direction, whatever direction this may be that I'm stuck in. Because I have been interested in phenomenon since I was a kid. And I've always, and I remember this too, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the show, but I used to run at night. I used to try to run a mile 4 times around the track up at the high school near our house when I was growing up. And every night I'd be out there in the dark alone all the time. And I was never afraid, absolutely never afraid. No one ever bothered me. I'd walk miles and miles and no one would ever bother me. And I felt very protected. I never felt fear about anything. Of course, I was a fearless person too. That's another whole story we'll go into maybe another time. Maybe after my book is out, we'll go into that. It'll be on other networks and I'll be being interviewed. But anyhow, I was never afraid, but there's one thing I always was doing. And I found myself years later wondering why I did it. But here's what I do, folks. I get out there and I'd be running around the track or jogging or walking the last, 5th lap or whatever. And I'd be looking up at the stars and I would just be begging them to come and get me and take me home. I swear to you, I would sit there and I'd just be like, please take me home. Just come and get me and take me home. And I never saw a thing, never saw a spacecraft, never saw anything, but I would just be like, I knew this is not where I belonged. I knew it. I knew it all growing up. I used to think I was adopted, but I think everybody thinks they're adopted when they're a kid or that they're strange or that, they're different. But I think in a weird way I was, because I just did not feel like this was my home ever. I've never felt that way. Another thing that I've done that I will confess to everybody here on California MUFON Radio is that I've never wanted children. I have absolutely, since the time I was 13 years old, knew that I was never going to have a kid. And the reason why, and I know I tell people this and they go, God, that's just the weirdest reason in the world. It's because I just felt like this place wasn't safe to have kids. And I don't know where that's all coming from. It could be that now, let's get into the psychology of Lorien. When I was a baby, when I was 18 months old, oh my gosh, here we go. This is going to be a long night, folks. You're going to have to listen to all of this. When I was 18 months old, I ate rat poisoning when we were visiting a beach house. My family, it was my mom, my dad, and my grandmother. And we were there and they went inside and they knew the owner of the place had told them, I have rats, I have poison out. You've got to pick it up for the baby. Because I was crawling at that time, or walking and crawling, whatever, at 18 months, I don't know. And so my mom and dad thought that they had gone around and picked up all of the trays. He had put in, back in the day, folks, there were ashtrays. Apparently, he had put a whole bunch of ashtrays and pie tins throughout the house and crevices and nooks and corners and what have you, just to kill all the rats while no one was occupying the home, because somebody wasn't there all the time as one of those rental properties or what have you. I don't know. So my parents opened the door under the stairs in old homes. There's usually a doorway, and in a lot of cases, there's a coat closet there or storage for wood for a fireplace, or, whatever. And they opened it, and they were hanging up coats and running out to the car and back and forth. And I walked or crawled into there, and I found a pie tin full of rat poison that they had missed. And I sat down. Apparently, they came in and found me about 20 minutes later sitting there eating all the rat poison out of the pie dish. Apparently, warfarin tastes really sweet, and that's why the rats love it. And of course, that's why moi loved it, because you put anything sweet in front of me and I was bound to eat it. So there I am, happily eating away the rat poisoning. So my mom looks at me and she goes, oh no, or apparently this is what I've been told a million times. You know how the stories when you're a kid that you get told a million times as you're growing up. Apparently my mom's like, oh no, and she grabs it and she's like, cleaning it off my face and trying to make me drink water and all this. And my mom says to my grandmother, oh, she'll be fine. See, a first-time mother, of course. Oh yeah, they'll be fine. Don't worry about that. Whatever. Anyhow, my mom is pretty lackadaisical in that category, I must say. My dad's probably like, oh yeah, whatever. And my grandmother apparently looked at both of them and said, "You two, no, put her in the car right now. We're going to the emergency room." And it was, like over 100 miles away. So I attribute my grandmother to saving my life, and I saved her life later, and that's another whole story. But anyhow, so she saved my life that day. They drove me to the hospital, and apparently I'd eaten enough rat poison to kill myself like 4 times over. And I started having a strange reaction to it. I guess it wasn't strange for the rats. I started bleeding through my veins. What it does is it thins your blood so much that it just seeps through your body. It's just gross. I don't even want to go into it. It's like Ebola. God, now that I'm thinking about it. And so it's kind of, that's happening to me. And the only way they can keep me from bruising all over, because that's another thing that happens. It's like pools in your skin and what have you, and you bruise, you move and you're a big bruise. They put sandbags, little baby sandbags, I guess, all on my arms and my feet to keep me from rolling around in the crib. And I was told this later. My grandmother stayed at my crib side the whole time. And one of the things that my grandmother told me much later in life, I think I was like at 17 or 18, she said, that day I fell asleep and I saw angels by your crib. And she goes, I knew you were going to be okay. And I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. That's great. That explains a lot. That explains why I've been hearing voices my whole life. Okay. No, not those kind of voices. Okay. And that's another whole story, and that is in the book. I've had many a voice in my head say, slow down and get in the other lane now, and then I'll be saved from dying. And that's all going to be in my book, because I've had like 3 of those, and they're just absolutely mind-boggling. I'm even going down to the newspaper here in town to put in the book the picture of the crash that happened in front of me that killed all the people. And it was just horrendous. Anyhow, like I said, another story for another day. So there I am. So now I'm thinking that maybe the reason I don't want kids, we're going back to why I never wanted children, was because I had such a traumatic, start to life. I also did, and this is like true confession night, folks. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I am. When I was also a baby, after this whole rat poisoning incident and being saved, I started liking to eat those St. Joseph's aspirin for children that were orange flavored. I used to think they were candy. And so I guess I was a fairly smart kid, but I think any kid would do this. What I used to do is, back in the old days in kitchens in the 50s and 40s, they would have pull-out drawers in a just like they do now, but they were pretty sturdy, these pull-out drawers, and they'd have like 4 or 5 of them going up. And we have a lot of those now, but mostly we have the drawers you pull out, and they have like space-saving devices in them, and you can pull out the drawer inside the drawer and all that. These are just heavy, solid doors that you'd open, and you put some pans or silverware or whatever in them. And I pulled them out to make a stair step. I'd pull the bottom one out the furthest, the next one a little shorter, a little further, and I made myself a ladder to walk up onto the countertop in the kitchen. And my parents had hidden the St. Joseph's aspirin way up on this really tall, and these were like really tall ceilings, and way up on this shelf. And so I made my little stair steps. I'd walk across the counters over to the cupboard where I knew where they'd put them. I'd open the cupboard, and then I would crawl up the cupboard shelves to the top shelf. I think it was like 3rd shelf up, and grab those aspirins and then eat them because I thought they were candy, just like I ate the rat poison. See the pattern here, folks? It's kind of a kid that loved candy. That's all I can say. So anyhow, I used to have my stomach pumped quite often over doing those St. Joseph aspirins for children. So I kept thinking to myself when I was 13, I can't have kids because I just can't have them. This place is too scary and it's unsafe, and look what's happened to me. Not realizing then that I had done this all to myself. Oh, but anyhow, it's evolved quite a bit since then as to why I haven't had it. And I've had a very deep, resounding feeling that it was important that I not have children so that I could help others with what I do and not drag kids through my life. It's just, being a professional dancer, which I'll go into later, kept kids out of my life at that point in time, which is probably a good thing. So anyhow, we've hit our first break. I can't believe it. And I haven't even gotten to the bunny rabbit story, but I'm going to bring MJ on here right after we get back, folks. So you can ask me all the questions you want, and we'll be right back. And
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called dreamnuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DREAMNUAGE.com. Simple, raw, organic.
Hello, I'm Pat Ustford, inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forum, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities. Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's epicvoyagers.com.
hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show here on Inception Radio Network. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton. Really happy to have you all with me here tonight. And we just didn't have a guest tonight. I was just thinking it's about time I sat here and babbled for a little bit. I don't know why. I just thought it'd be fun. So anyhow, as I was telling you guys before the break, and I'm going to bring MJ on here in just a minute if you'll bear with me. I'm going to finish up a couple quick stories, and then MJ's going to come on. We'll talk MUFON. Yay, MUFON. Anyhow, I just never felt like I needed to have kids because I had another calling. And in my book, it's going to tell you guys all about that, because in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I was always seeing these psychics and people off the street. I swear, I kid you not, people off the street would come up to me and say, "You've got something very important to do." I mean, like, yeah, right. Here I am. I'm a professional dancer. I'm a housewife. I'm cooking pasta for dinner, and I'm feeding the dog. And, I do have fun. I had a lot of things going on. I was showing dogs. I had a husband. I was in computer programming, all this stuff. But what? I have a calling. There's something I'm supposed to be doing. What? Are you kidding me? And what's even weirder is two fortune tellers at one point, many years apart, all said I'd be 53 years old when it happened. And I'd forgot it all at the time. But when I hit 53 and then I had that rude awakening weekend, I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is the moment that I'm supposed to step up and do something. So whatever it is I'm doing, I don't know, because there's no guidebook for, people to be on the radio and talk about their experiences and bring other people on. And I think all we're doing here, as Grant Cameron would say, he's a good friend of mine. So we're expanding our consciousness, working in love, and just trying to, make this place a better place. And hopefully that's what I'm doing here on the show. And so I'm going to go back to the rabbit story, because I think this is a pinnacle for me. It was a huge moment in my life that I thought about much later on. I hadn't really thought about it until I was over 53 years old, but it kind of, what it did is it solidified how I felt about staying on this path and helping people awaken as well. And that was, I was about 7 years old, and there was the Multnomah County Fair up in Portland, Oregon, where I grew up on the outskirts of Portland. It's in Multnomah County, and that's a tribe of Indians, by the way, if anybody doesn't know. And so we'd go to the fair every year because I grew up on a little farm, okay? And what was interesting about that particular day is that up until that point, I had only gone with my grandparents by myself. But at that particular year, I remember my little sisters came with us. Oh, God forbid, I did not want them with us, but they came along, and they were, the littlest one, Lynn, was just walking, and Lisa, my second sister, was, she's probably about 4, and Lynn was 2. So they were just, they were small enough that they needed to be with my grandparents, so I could kind of wander off by myself, which was kind of nice. So we'd always looked at the animals. That was the main reason to go to these county fairs, is because there was the 4-H kids that were always showing their prize animals, and it was just a big day for us, and it was just so much fun. So anyhow, we go to the fair. And I looked at the pigs and the chickens and the goats and the horses and the cows and the donkeys and God knows what. I was looking at everything. But the thing that really captured my attention that day were the bunny rabbits. And I went over to the cage of the top winning bunny, and it was a brother and sister about 10 and 13 years old that had won first prize with this beautiful black bunny with very long ears, black rabbit with really long ears, and they were floppy. So he was a floppy-eared rabbit, and he was pitch black and just gorgeous. And I said, "Can I hold him?" And they said, "Sure," because he was very tame. And he just stayed in my arms, and I just held him and petted him for, it must have been an hour at least. And finally, my grandparents and my two little sisters came back, and they said, "We've got to go." And I said, "Oh, I want this rabbit." And they're like, "Nope, can't have him." The usual story. And the two kids were like, "No, sorry, we can't even sell it to you because, he's a winning rabbit and we're going to breed him and, blah, blah, blah." So I'm like, "Oh, no, I want the rabbit." And I was really upset. I really fell in love with that rabbit. There was a connection, and now I know what that was. But at the time, I just felt like, my heart was being ripped out. So we get in the car. And all the way back, I'm going. And now this is the part in my presentation that I have visuals for this, folks. I have visuals for all of this, of course. But I do a presentation. Oh, by the way, I will be speaking at the Conscious Life Expo in February in Los Angeles. So if any of you are out in that area and you want to come meet me or hang out with me or whatever, please do. That's where I will be. Conscious Life Expo, February, I want to say 14th, 15th, and 16th. I'm speaking on Sunday about 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And this part of the story opens my presentation. So I just thought I'd be real clear on that with you. So anyhow, in my presentation, I have a picture of an old 1960s car with the old bucket seats, and then I kind of showed where I was leaning over. And most of you don't know that because you're too young, because they've strapped you in and made you guys like you're going on a rocket mission since we were babies in those car seats. When I was a kid, they just threw us in a basket and hoped that we didn't fly against the wall if anything happened. But so anyhow, I'm flopping around back there. My two sisters are back there rolling around and fighting and doing whatever they do. But I keep, leaning forward over the seat and hanging there with both arms down, whispering in my grandmother's ear, "I really want that rabbit. Will you guys get me a rabbit?" And then I turn to my grandfather, "Please, I want that rabbit. I want a rabbit." And he'd go, "No, I'm not building you a hutch." I'll never forget it. That's all he said all the way back is, "No, I'm not building you a hutch. No, we're not having a rabbit. We've got everything else. You should be happy with what you have." The whole bit. But I'm just like, "No, please, I want the rabbit." And my grandmother's just getting disgusted with me. And she looks at me and says, "You just can't have the rabbit. We're not going to build a hutch." And then it started. Then I put my hands together and I prayed. And I really prayed. And it was a very interesting moment because I was really sincere. I was sitting there praying, Catholic praying, my arms on the seat, my hands together in the upright position, my eyes closed, touching my chin, praying, "Dear God, I really want that rabbit. I really want a rabbit. I want a rabbit just like the one I just saw." And that's what I said. And I'll never forget it. And my grandmother's just like, "Oh, dear." So, we're about a mile away from the house, and I'm praying away. And then we get to the house, and we had a long driveway with a gate that opens up to go up the driveway to the farm. And we're seeing, as we pull into the driveway at the front part where the gate is, we see something black on the other side of the gate. And my grandfather's looking at my grandmother, and he goes, "Okay." He had to open the gate anyhow. So he gets out of the car, he opens the gate, and there, sitting smack dab right in front of the gate, right in front of the car, is a black bunny rabbit that is identical twin to the one we just left there at the Multnomah County Fair. It's not moving. It's not running away. It's not doing nothing. It's just sitting there looking at us all. And my grandfather looks at my grandmother, looks at me, looks at the rabbit, looks at my grandmother, looks at me, looks at the rabbit. We're all looking at each other. My two sisters are jumping up and down with glee and clapping in the back seat. Everybody's all excited. And I'm thrilled beyond belief. And my grandfather picks up the rabbit, and he opens the car door and he hands it to me. He goes, "I guess this is yours, and I guess I'm building that hutch after all." So that was how the rabbit story started. Now, I always thought it was kind of extraordinary in a weird way. Just what I found out 3 months later while playing with the rabbit outside of the hutch my grandfather had to build for me, by the way. Two kids saw me playing with this rabbit in our, I was on the driveway or something, somewhere where they could see me. And they walked by our house and they looked up, saw me, and they said, "Oh, is that your rabbit?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "We lost a rabbit about 3 months ago, just like that." And I said, "Really?" And they go, "Yeah, it was in the hutch in the backyard, and then it was gone." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I gave him back the rabbit. My days were done with the rabbit. I'd played with it for 3 months. I was happy. I was fine. We had the hutch for the possum that came along at another point in time with 13 babies that we needed to have a home for it. So that's where that went. And it was just one of those moments. And I really never thought about it much until I was older and I wanted a car. Okay. And the same thing happened again, folks. I decided I wanted this car. And I really made a conscious and almost a spiritual decision. And I can't describe it to you. Those of you who've had this feeling know what I'm talking about. It's like it's where your brain connects with your heart and your chakra all at the same time. And they put out a frequency or a vibration through your body that you just know something is going to happen or you will have what you asked for. I can't even explain it to you, but that's what happened. I was working at a restaurant and I saw this red Geo Metro. I really wanted it. It turned out the red Geo Metro parked in front of the building belonged to the new assistant manager. He just started working there. And he was going to quit because he just got offered a great job somewhere else and he wanted to leave San Francisco and he was going to sell the car and he was going to sell it the next day. And I just had seen it and just decided I wanted it and he wanted a lot of money for it. And I said, "Look, I can't give you that. I don't have it." And I did it again. I sat down, I said, "Okay, I got the car I wanted. Now can you guys figure out a way for me to pay for it?" And I sat there, I went through the ritual, I made the feeling happen, and I called my dad and I said, "Look, I don't have the money to buy this car." And I knew my dad didn't have it either. But he said, "It's funny you should call today because I just got a check in the mail that I was not expecting at all, and I don't really need it, and you go ahead and get yourself a new car." And it happened. I got that car. I had it within 48 hours of that first decision where I sat down and I said, "Okay, now this is not something I want out of greed or lust or hatred or revenge or, whatever. All I want it for is because I truly love that car. I think it's really cool, and I need a car for work. It's very important that I have one." So that car was with me for years. I love that car. I still love that car. I'm so mad that I blew the engine up at one point. But anyhow, folks, those are a couple of my crazy stories. I don't even know what category they fall in, and I have no idea. But a lot of these things have truly led me down that pathway where I keep hitting these forks in the road that say, "Lorien, what are you going to do next? Are you going to do this? Or, you're going to get sick, and we told you not to do this," and blah, blah, blah. And who knows? I feel like I'm being just kind of led my whole life now towards something. I have no idea what it is. And maybe you guys out there do. I don't know. I'm lost, but I'm happily lost, and I'm happily doing whatever it is they need me to do. So that's kind of the personal touch of what Lorien's all about. And I hope you guys enjoyed hearing that because, I don't know. It's a very strange existence for me. And what's weird is it's like it snowballs. And I'm going to tell you guys one thing that I just thought about last week. In 2008, I still hadn't gotten on this whole bandwagon with doing all this yet. 2009 is when I got really sick, and that will be in my book too. And a lot of you know about that. But it was interesting. I used to listen to Art Bell on Coast to Coast all the time, every night, all the time. And I knew back when I was listening to him that I would eventually probably know all the guests he had and even other hosts Coast to Coast and know all these people. I know that sounds very weird, but it was like I knew it back then. I never thought about it. I never cared about it. And maybe that's the trick, folks. Maybe it's because I don't care about anybody. I'm not starstruck. I never have been. People put on their pants, one leg at a time like anybody else. And I've never been starstruck by anybody in the UFO community, not one iota. And I think that makes a big difference too, because I just call people and say, hi, my name's so-and-so, and this is what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, okay. And usually it works out pretty well. But I had a funny feeling I was going to be talking to all these people. And I have, not all of them for sure. A lot of them have died. But, I pretty much know a good portion of the people I was listening to way back in the Art Bell days. And it's nice because some of them are completely wonderful people, and I always knew they would be. Some of them, I wonder why I ever picked up the phone, and then there are some I just go, whoa, I can never be around that person again, But very interesting to have that knowing, that level of knowing you're going to know these people. Because someone had said to me, really, a part of me just would have said, if anybody said, hey, Lorien, are you going to, talk to, Stan Deo next month, or whatever, you ever going to know Stan Deo? And I'd be like, why? Why would I ever talk to me? But it turns out I now know most of these people have their phone numbers. So anyhow, it's a very weird feeling, folks. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like someone's orchestrating my life. And crazy stuff. Okay, well, enough about me. I've just about burned up an hour, and I promised MJ we'd be doing MUFON by now. So MJ, are you there?
I am here, Lorien. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Listening to your story, I can relate to that a lot. I was a big Bill Burns fan, watching UFO Hunters, and little did I know later on, he sent me an autographed cover of UFO Mag, and I thought that was the neatest things. Little did I know,
cool.
3 or 4 years later, I'd be producing his shows and, friends with him and Nancy, and it just, the world is strange how it works, isn't it?
It is. And I always feel now that I'm older and I'm in it, I feel like someone, has got puppet strings on me and they're going, okay, Lorien, you got to go over here now and do this, It's not like I have a real choice of my own in it, though. How do you feel about that?
I believe that works the same. I was directed as a child. We were outside playing. This is my story, Lorien. I'll tell you.
Oh, great, good. I'm going to sit back and listen.
Yeah, we got about 8 minutes for the break, so we should take up some time. Well, I was in third grade back in 1978, and of course, everybody knows on the network that it snows up here in Wisconsin, and it was March 1st of 78, and we had just had a big storm out around here in northern Wisconsin. So, of course, on recess, me and I remember the names of the guys too, Jeff and another Mike, we decided to kind of break away from the kids and go down and play maybe 150 feet away and make snow tunnels. And we're sitting there making snow tunnels and, burying this. And we got about an hour out there. And I don't believe it was me, but one of my friends at the time pointed to the south sky and said, hey, look, what's that in the sky? And the other one yells, a UFO. And as I looked up and turned around, there was a silver disc spinning in the sky, probably a mile away, and it was just plain as day, and the sun was shining off it. I mean, it had that metallic glare, and I mean, I still can see that to this day, and it's just a figment in my mind that I'll never forget. And really, from then on, I would rent every UFO Bigfoot book in the library, so that's where my addiction started with my actual sighting when I was in third grade.
I'm sorry. I had the mute button on. I was talking away and I realized, oh my God, no one can hear me.
I'm like, oh boy, I got to watch the boards and talk. Did I lose her?
I'm sorry. That is fascinating. Now, how low was this thing?
I would say it was it looked like it was maybe 1,000 feet in the sky from a distance from us. I'd say probably a half a mile.
Wow. Awesome. Cool. Now, did you ever see it again?
Never saw it again.
Jeez. Cool. Well, in chat, they're trying to get me to get Durhuff a mini bike or something.
I see that. I I also seen that Carol actually owned a possum too as a child or something.
Did she have a possum?
Yeah.
I didn't see that part. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another whole story for another day and another night. But yeah, that is so fascinating, MJ. Now, so you think that you've been directed ending up where you are now at IRN?
It seems so. I mean, it's being that young, that's something you're 8 years old, you would forget something like that, but it's been in my mind, and I had a fascination with UFOs, since I was 8, and I believe it's directed me here. And even as a child, we used to grab that old tape recorder with the cassettes and do pretend radio shows. Here I am doing radio, doing the unknown. Would catch any show I could on TV at the 20 years ago. It wasn't easy to find a UFO show on TV. Now
absolutely.
Now they're everywhere. So I think I've been directed to help get the word out too, like you, and help people. And and there's a few people in chat that'll attest that they've came on my show and I've actually helped them open up. And if you want to hear some good stories and call-ins, there's some people in chat right now that should call in.
Yeah, you guys call in after the hour, at the top of the hour in 5 minutes. Please call in. I'd love to hear from you guys, because it's just, I don't ever do call-ins because, like I said earlier in the show, I just really like to let the guest have a good flow going and ask your questions from chat, in the last part of the show. So that's kind of my format. But tonight, it's open lines, me and MJ just hanging out, having a good time and talking about stuff. So we'd love to bring you on and listen to your stories too. So wouldn't that be nice?
Oh yeah, they have some stories. Believe me, there's some interesting stuff in chat. I mean, it's not all UFOs. There's a few people that have paranormal experiences in chat too. That
wow.
I used to do an open lines on Paying Radio. I think we did at least 20 to 25 shows, but to me, them are my favorite shows because I've heard stuff that I would never hear from a guest that writes a book and does research. But you're hearing from the people, the boots to the ground. I've seen this, I've seen that. That's them to me. Open lines are the most fun shows you can do. It's just getting the callers is the problem.
Absolutely. Art Bell's open lines are classic.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are so classic. And you know what I wish, MJ? And this is kind of a crazy wish, and maybe somebody could get it out there for me. I wish JC would call me. I would love to hear from JC. He's one of the characters on Art Bell's show that I just truly, truly miss. Now, I'm pretty sure he was contrived. Do you know much about him? Wasn't he an actor that used to call in?
I believe so.
Yeah. And we know that the guy that called in from the phone booth out in Area 51 was an actor.
Yeah, I remember that one. That one's a classic.
Yeah, that is great. But, even the weirdest part about that night, he admitted he called in. He's an actor. He called in from his parents' basement. He was doing acting. He was in not a TV show, but a play or something. And he thought, I'll just do this character on, Art Bell's show, and let's see what happens, So, but he did get kicked off the air that night. The minute they heard this guy calling in, even though it was an act, he still got kicked off. And the satellites went down and the whole bit. He was knocked off the air for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, hearing that call, you're thinking, oh my God, this guy's really on the run. But yeah, part of me thought, oh boy, I think this is somebody fabricating it. But it was a neat call, though.
It was fun. I wish somebody do that for my show.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm trapped here at Area 51, and then the aliens have got me, and come and help me. I can hear it now. That'd be so awesome. Anyhow, JC, getting back to JC, oh my gosh, he had me in stitches laughing so hard so many nights. I don't know about you, MJ, but that guy he really made me laugh. He was so ridiculous that he was hysterically funny.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I miss Art Bell. And, and that's another thing. Art Bell and the X-Files. I think those were one of the two biggest influences in this whole thing for me. I think they helped change the paradigm for so many people. Because they, I don't care what people want to believe, but Art Bell is in everybody's consciousness. He's now a part of each one of us out there that listened every night for 20 years, or 15 years or whatever it was. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to me how much he is part of the collective unconscious awakening around the UFO and paranormal communities. So
I think my favorite Art Bell episode was when he had on the guy that was in the woods that ran into that small craft. He took a picture of it, disintegrated.
Bob Reed.
Yeah,
Bob Reed's still
Dr.
one of my
Reed.
favorite people on the planet.
Yep, that is amazing story.
Yeah, and I think it's true. I have a lot of friends out there that absolutely believe that Bob Reed was lying through his teeth. And I'm one of those people out there that is just like, I don't know, you guys, it's so fantastical. It has to be.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, IRN listeners. This is MJ saying hello and sharing an awesome secret I discovered. It's called DreamNuage.com. Fresh, raw, organic ingredients are used to create all their products. They are made in very small batches to ensure quality and freshness. Handmade in the USA, each product is created with care and with the finest organic ingredients. There are no preservatives, dyes, or chemicals in any product. Stop by Dream Nuage and relax. That's DreamNuage.com. Simple, raw, organic.
Hello, I'm Pat Usford, inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com.
EPIC is Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council, the forum for scholars, experts, and those fascinated by and involved in the study of ancient civilizations, conspiracies, cryptozoology, ETs, and UFOs, fringe science, the paranormal, and all manner of extraordinary phenomena. Please join EPIC as we examine the mysteries of the world and beyond on epicvoyagers.com. And for updates on the upcoming interactive video presentations, the latest news and discussion on the EPIC forums, as well as research, investigations, and membership opportunities. Epic Voyages program schedule is on the Inception Radio Network. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, this is Joe Mars. I'm inviting you to tune in to Epic Voyages, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, right here on Inception Radio Network. To find out more about Epic and how you can become a member, visit epicvoyagers.com. That's epicvoyagers.com.
Hello, everyone. Lorien Fenton here, host of the California MUFON Radio Show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today. Welcome back, everyone, to the California MUFON Radio Show. I'm your host, Lorien Fenton, and we're here on Inception Radio Network, and you know what time it is. It's that time where I say to everybody, you've got to check out MUFON. You got to go to MUFON.com. That's MUFON.com. Check them out and try to find a chapter near you. And what the most important thing to me, folks, is not that you join MUFON right this second, because I really want you to join MUFON. For $35 a year, you get the electronic newsletter, and it's got all kinds of great articles and Filer's Files and articles by oh my gosh, I can't even remember all the people that are involved in writing articles. We've got editorials, and we've got the people that contribute on a monthly basis. And right now I don't have one sitting right in front of me, so I can't tell you everything about it, but it is wonderful. It also gives you kind of a heads up on all of the events happening that people have submitted their ads for, like my UFO CON that's coming up at the end of March will be advertised in there. Oh, and the big thing this year, folks, if you're on the West Coast, the big annual MUFON Symposium is going to be in Irvine, California. So, hey, with bells on, I'm going to be there. So I really hope you guys, if I miss you in Laughlin and I miss you at the LA Conscious Life Expo or International UFO Congress, which I am going to try to raise some money here on the network to get to, because I really think it's important that I'm there for that. I will get you also probably 3 days of 4 hours each of live broadcasting going on at that one for sure. But anyhow, so we're going to raise some money to get me there, and I know you guys will help me, so I'm not worried about that at all. But getting back to MUFON, it's really important that you guys get together once a month with like-minded people. It has truly changed my life, I got to say. The day I made the decision, now this is only because I knew that Ruben Uriarte had a meeting down in San Jose and I could barely get to it ever. So I went up to Cynthia Siegel's meeting in Sacramento, and I just wanted to check it out for, like a second or third time in my life, having checked out a MUFON meeting. And I said, you know what? I can do this, and I can do it in my backyard, so I don't have to drive hours and hours to get to a MUFON meeting. And that's what I did. I walked up to Ruben Uriarte at a conference, and I said, hi, my name is Lorien Fenton, and I'm going to start a MUFON group in my area so that I can have MUFON meetings. And he looked at me and he goes, he kind of laughed at me, folks, I must say. And then he said, go meet Les Valdez, because he's my assistant state manager, and he can help approve this or not. And I said, okay, fine. So I tootled on over to Les, and I said, I'm Lorien Fenton, and I'm going to start a MUFON group in my backyard, practically. And he's like, okay, we'll have to have a meeting about that. And I said, okay. So within 3 months, I started my first meeting. And ever since then, it's been super, super amazing. People come out of the woodwork. You guys, you've got to be around people that are like-minded. It is super, super important, especially the way things are going today. It is a very scary place out there. There's a lot of very interesting, very negative things going on in the community. There's some very positive things going on in the community, but I think the most important part is that we stick together. And that's what MUFON has done for me. It's given us all a home to go to, a place to be at once a month, people to talk to. It's just great. And there's people, and what's so amazing for me, just absolutely amazing, we all get along. It's like we're a giant family, and they're ranging in ages from their 20s to their 80s. And they're all together all the time, smiling and happy. And you know what's interesting? I noticed this at the last meeting. There's no age in our meeting. I mean, there's no older people treating younger people like they're younger. There's no younger people treating people like they're old and feeble. It's like we're all just one age. We all look at each other, and it's kind of like starlight or something. I don't know. We're all ageless, and we all have opinions, and we're all heard. And it's super, super important that you guys do this. I don't know how to stress this. Even if you don't have MUFON in your area, why don't you guys think about starting one? Do what I did. It's just super. I mean, it's not super easy, because you do have to go through the MUFON, directorship to find out if you can do it and how to get a chapter started and what have you. But you guys, it's so rewarding. It is absolutely the most rewarding thing. Like I tell everybody, this is the last part of, this I'm going to go on about tonight. But I tell everybody the best part of my month is that day where I'm sitting at the restaurant after the meeting and I look down the table, because I always sit at the head of the table, and I look down the table and everybody's talking and laughing together. And there's people of all different shapes, sizes, creed, color. I mean, it's just amazing to me. And we all have one thing in common. We're all open about UFOs, aliens, phenomena, and everything in between. And we all want to share with each other. And we all care very deeply about each other. I can tell you that. There's been some real amazing camaraderie growing out of these MUFON meetings. And especially at Ruben's and Cynthia's Cynthia's in Sacramento and Ruben's in San Jose. Some just absolutely amazing stuff goes on. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say to you one more time. I'm going to not proselytize anymore. But, bottom line is you guys really need to get to a MUFON meeting, or at least join MUFON so you can get the newsletter and get excited about going to conferences and doing things, okay? Because it'll change your life, absolutely change your life. And I think MJ will attest to that as well. So, okay, that's enough said about MUFON for that phase of it. The phase
Lori,
where I say, go spend your $35 right now online.
Yeah, Lori, and a couple good articles too each month. Nick Redfern is also participating, and Stanton Freeman's in there every month too.
I know. Thank you for reminding me about Stanton. Yes, he's pretty much a regular contributor, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And when did Nick Redfern become all the time?
I think a few months back. I think sometime this year.
Ah, okay. Because I did see an article by him a few months ago, but my brain wasn't paying attention as to whether he'd put more in or not. But that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do we know what the readership is of the newsletter?
I don't have a number offhand. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I've never asked how many
too.
members there are at MUFON. You know that?
That's a good question. How about I email somebody tomorrow and find out? I do get regular emails from somebody at the secretary at the headquarters. I think her name's Marquita. She sends out my list. Yeah,
she's nice.
Oh yeah, she is very nice.
Yeah, she's very sweet. She's had to deal with me. I've had, I don't know whether I should admit this or not. I think I will, just for the heck of it, so you guys all know the truth about what happens to me here in California. I'm kind of the black sheep of MUFON here in California, I must admit. And MJ knows a lot of what's been going on, and he knows about the struggles I've had with MUFON. But they love me in spite of it all. I know Jan does. And Makita, is that her name? She's been very sweet to me. But here's the deal. There's been a couple of people in Northern California that have complained that I don't mail things to them to tell them about the meetings. Now, folks, I'm sorry, but I don't have time to sit and mail people items, physical mail. I really don't. And I do everything by email and meetup. That's how I do all of my meetings, okay? So a couple of older type people have called MUFON and complained that Lorien would not mail them something to tell them about the meetings every month. So I've gotten these calls from them saying, you need to call this person, and so I'd call the people, and they were just nasty to me. Just nasty. I mean, I hate to say it. If we're doing true confessions, these people were just nasty to me because I don't have a computer, my girlfriend won't let me use hers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, but it's not my problem that, you won't go on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It is 2014, my friend, but I'm very nice to them. And, hopefully these much older, and they're in their 80s. I mean, I got to say, I gotta feel for them because it must be hard when you don't have the kind of skills that the 3-year-olds have now when they're running tablets in their cribs. So so it's been tough. So I've gotten a few reprimands here and there, but that's how things go. That's all you can do.
I myself, I haven't got any reprimands, but I've got them contacting headquarters and saying that he hasn't answered me or finished my investigation. But I mean, I've finished it. And the last email I got, I think Marquita emailed me that a guy or a witness wanted to talk about his story. So I did reply to him. Of course, I told him to file a report, and he didn't want to file a report. And then he did start spouting off that, wait till I go to the next Wisconsin MUFON meeting. I'm going to say, well, there is none right now. I mean, and he just, and then he just, just what he said, and, and he goes, well, just give me your phone number. And I was, the guy, I go, you have to file the report, then I'll follow up with you. Then he's kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, hey, God bless them all. If anybody wants to give us a report, I think it's absolutely phenomenal that they'll take the time to do it. Like I said, I saw my triangle on November 1st, and I haven't had time to make my report yet, So I totally get that. And, what I find fascinating about the whole thing is that 99% of the people that come to the meetings are the nicest, most amazing people, and become lifelong friends, and what have you in the whole MUFON UFO community, right? MJ, I think you'd agree with that. But there's always that 1% that I think that they just need to feel special. And I don't blame them. Some of them have had some horrific things happen to them regarding the whole alien abduction thing, and they're usually quite a bit older. So I understand that because, frankly, they probably have been told their whole life that they're nuts.
And they don't realize that this is, we're volunteering our time. I think some of these witnesses think we're getting paid to investigate.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because we're taking time out of our day from our jobs to, it's a passion. I mean, we want to go out and see, and try to help them with what they've seen. But a lot of people don't realize we're doing this on our own time. I'm behind. I'm behind in investigations in my state. We just are because of our shortage of field investigators, and thank God we have somebody helping from Minnesota that is willing to put her time in and do our backlog of our cases. So we're caught up. I believe she's finishing the last 5 cases from 2013. So we're just about to 2014. I got caught up by summer, but then I got behind again because there's only 3 of us active FIs doing them. And then we're all at, I'm up here in the northernmost part, and my chief investigator is in the southernmost part. My assistant state director, she's in Arizona. So that doesn't make a good mix for, getting things done. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. It is. And, and people just, what I would love for people to do is just realize if you just call the person and talk to them about it, usually you can get most of what you have to say out there. If it's an extraordinary case, then everybody's got to take the time to write it down because it is really important. But, if you're just seeing a light in the sky and it's kind of going, whatever, and nothing really exciting's happened, I think reporting it to MUFON is a wonderful thing. But, unless it's something that I find extraordinary, one of those extraordinary stories. I don't know. What do you feel about that, MJ? Do you want people just to say, I saw this orange light in the sky at 8:27 in front of the house? Or would you rather that they just, not report it? What's your feeling about that?
I think we could filter out the lights in the sky and separate it from, the cases that actually have, our case like a CE3 or higher. I mean, that is a good idea. Definitely. I mean, lights in the sky. I mean, it's really hard to. How am I going to pinpoint the research? 200 miles away on the phone. I can look at a star map. Maybe it was Venus, but maybe I could check flight patterns. I mean, it or satellites, but that is a tough call. I believe that we could separate them and definitely, go work on the ones that show a little more evidence.
Absolutely. And that's what I've been telling my people at my MUFON meeting. It's like, if you see a light and you're not even sure if it's a plane or not, what do you do reporting it to MUFON? So these poor investigators, man, they're so overloaded with, 50 of those a month when they've got 4 cases where an orange egg-shaped glowing object lands in this guy's front yard and they can't get to helping him because, they're busy with 50 cases of I saw a light in the sky and it might have been a plane,
We had a case last August the 13th. Finally one that's close, that I can actually boots to the ground on it. So I did talk with the witness, and she claimed that she was being visited by, an alien race, and it was going on for about 15 years.
Wow.
Santa, they said that they were on their 4-wheeler being chased by the so-called craft, took a picture of it, sent it in. I looked at it. My first thought is, without doing really any research, that's Venus. So I did send the picture over to Bill McNeff. He's been in MUFON in Minnesota for years, and he came back with the results that it was Venus. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, then I followed up with her, and I just really never heard back from her.
Yeah. It's tough, especially when people are being visited, because in their reality, and I'm not sticking up for them all, because there are a few people out there that are just imagining things. Folks, you got to realize that. I deal with these people all the time, and and hopefully I get through to them and say, look, that really is just a plane. You got to stop thinking there's a UFO hovering over your house every night at 8:57. When it's a flight plan from Portland, Oregon to San Francisco, right? So, and we know it's Southwest Airlines, even. That's how bad it can get. But the people that are being visited and having those type of things happen to them, they really do feel like they're being followed a lot of times by these crafts that we can't see. And I'm not saying they aren't there. I'm saying that maybe they can see something that we can't.
I so agree, and I know people personally that can tell me that they're seeing a craft in the sky right now, and I get all excited to try to drive there, but I know these people are able to see things I can't. I mean, beyond a different third dimension, fourth dimension thing, who knows?
I agree. Absolutely. And see, now that's what's interesting, MJ. 20 years ago, if I had said that, I would have thought I was losing my mind. But I absolutely believe that now. I believe that certain people can vibrate at a different frequency because of their alien contact, and are able to see the craft, the aliens, and things like that a lot of normal people just don't see. And I mean, I don't use the word normal. I just mean people that haven't been visited, maybe, because there's so much more to it now than just UFOs in the sky. As our favorite friend to love, Mr. Billy Meyer guy. Michael Horn always says, he's like, why are you guys watching lights in the sky? That doesn't even matter anymore. And, he's right in a weird way. It doesn't, because we've gone way beyond that. We're at the consciousness level of why they're even here in the first place. We've evolved, in 20 years. I think we've evolved immensely in 20 years. And like I said earlier, the whole Art Bell show, it helped change that whole paradigm for so many people. They're accepting things now that they would never have accepted if Art Bell had never gone on the air. We'd never had a show like that, or X-Files for that matter.
Oh, yeah. That was a game changer. Looks like we got a question in chat from Lorraine.
We did. Why don't you answer that?
You want to go ahead and read it? I'm on a little iPad here.
Oh, sure. Here we go. Yeah. Lorraine M. says in chat, the question is this: is there a minimum amount of hours per month or week that should be required of a volunteer for investigations?
To answer that, I guess some weeks you're going to have to put in more hours, and other weeks you're going to fall behind. So it depends on the caseload. Right now, of course, it's slow in the fall, so the caseload, we can catch up on that. But when it's summertime in our state, I see it range from 12 to 15 to 20 cases in the summer months, and now we're down to 1 or 2 a month. So it's a matter of what's going on at the time and how many people are looking up in the sky. But it's hard to dedicate that few hours a week. I just I need to sit down, contact the witnesses, go over research. It's a hard thing to do, so it varies per week. That's how I'll answer that one.
Yeah. And, I'm going to say something that I've been thinking for a long time, and I'm just going to say it. And maybe you'll agree with me, MJ, maybe you won't. But I truly believe that MUFON is missing the mark when it comes to the field investigators, because here's what should be happening, and this is coming from somebody who's been a computer programmer in her past. There are so many ways to make a program that would answer all of the questions for your basic sightings that would be easy to put up on the site. I think they have something now already there like it within the CMS database, but something just so streamlined that everybody who saw a flying saucer in the world, or a craft or whatever in the world, would be able to go on this one web page, would be able to input their information, and it'd be case closed, and that sighting would have been reported. without having to contact the person, go through all the time and energy for, whatever it may be. Now, and this is in your basic sightings. And then you'd have at the very beginning of filling out these forms online would be a questionnaire, a simple 3-part questionnaire. Did it land? How close was it? Blah, blah, blah. And if they say closer than 100 feet and it landed in my front yard or it turned my car off or, whatever, it could be a person that the field investigators would get back to and do a much more thorough investigation for the CMS database.
That's kind of like what you brought up earlier, separating it from lights in the sky to something CE3 or higher, or
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that way you guys would have so much more time, because I think the whole thing of you guys having to really answer everybody who gets a hold of you is just, it's just kind of nutty. I think it's very 1970s and 80s. I hate to say it.
What I was told by our chief investigator now, Steve Hodgins, he says do the 1, 2, 3, 3 strikes you're out. If you contact them 3 times, you could do it the same day. He says close the case. I mean, that's really what you have to do sometimes. But then after that case is closed, sometimes you get a call back from that witness and they want to dig deeper and want to know more and want you to look into it for them. So that's kind of where we run into a little roadblock there too.
Absolutely. But, I hope it gets some easier on you guys, because I look at my California people, my God, they're so overloaded.
I don't know how they do it.
Oh, my God.
They're always pretty perfect, too. They're pretty darn near perfect with 200 cases they must do, or 150 cases a month, too. They do a good job.
They do. And you know who's cracking the whip? Here in Northern California, we've got Devlin Rooney. Man, she is a taskmaster. I love her. Have you ever met Devlin?
I have not.
Oh my God, she's amazing. Hopefully she's going to go down to the symposium this year. I'm trying to talk her into going, so we'll see. But she's pretty amazing lady, I'm telling you. She's she really, she goes around and I got to tell everybody, I got reprimanded because I didn't pay my dues last month. I got totally called out on it. I couldn't believe it. It was like, you didn't pay your dues. She was at a party with me and she's like, I noticed you didn't pay your dues. You're in trouble. You got to pay your dues, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, God, Devlin, I'm sorry. I thought they were due in December.
Well, Lorien, we have a question in chat for you that I can read back to you.
Oh, sure. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it pretty good. Lorien, is there a general consensus in MUFON land as to when the UFO phenomenon actually began? Is it Roswell, Foo Fighters, Ancient Aliens? Thanks to you two. That's from Derhuff.
Derhuff. Okay.
So where do you think it began?
I think it began a millennia ago. Absolutely millennia ago. But do you guys remember, I think everybody in our chat room is smarter than me, but I remember reading about dirigible type UFOs in the 1800s and a lot over Texas and the Midwest. And I don't know if you guys remember any of reading about that or hearing about it. And I, honest to God, cannot remember where I read about it. But I did read about that. And I thought to myself, now that's very strange that they would think it was a hot air balloon type of things. But I think that if there were aliens back in the 1800s flying around, they were probably very curious about us building railroads and all the things we were doing back then, in our progression technology-wise. Boy, I can't talk tonight. It's one of those nights. And I believe that they were probably letting people see balloons because people understood balloons. Mm-hmm. And that they might have actually shown them the silver metallic crafts or whatever they are, or the glowing ball crafts or what have you, if they had thought that they could understand it. But I don't think they could.
Isn't it funny how the crafts have progressed from the airship to the flying saucer to the triangle as our technology got better? I mean, it's almost like it coincides with each other too. Boy, that's
Absolutely.
Weird. They didn't see triangles back in the 1800s, and they started. They didn't see the flying saucer. It was an airship, and would look like a balloon. Then it went to the disc. Then it went to the triangle. In modern day, it's just kind of weird how that works.
It is. And lately, this whole thing about the glowing orange big flying balls is just kind of bizarre because I did not remember hearing about that in the 70s and 80s. Or not nearly as much, in other words. And now it's become just so, prominent.
Right. Another interesting case I can recall talking to the gentleman on the phone. It's probably 2 years ago. They were.
Hey, MJ, do we need to take a break?
We can if you want, or do you want it? We can keep going. We can skip it.
Oh, let's skip the break tonight. Okay, here we go, folks.
I have control. I have control. Yeah, it was an interesting case. A man and two of his friends were out at a cabin, and of course they were by a lake, or they were outside barbecuing at night, and this humongous, this pretty big triangle comes over the cabin, slow, no sound, with the three lights. That wasn't the most interesting part of the case. He goes into it, well, this is what I seen, but you should have heard what my grandma seen back in the late 1800s. So he goes into this story that tells me that one day his grandma and his great-grandpa and a great-uncle or great-great-uncle were out in the field working. I guess this was somewhere in Wisconsin. I don't know the location, but they were out there working in the field, and they noticed a saucer craft, metallic craft, come down in the field behind them a few hundred feet. So what they did is they ran behind the barn and peeked around the corner and watched as the craft sat there, opened, and I guess some type of entities were walking around the craft, but the grandma told the story to him as a child, and she said they were just scared out of their wits because they didn't know what it was. And this happened in the 1800s, and a disc landed, and there was entities out taking ground samples or something. Wow. They said that's just nuts.
That is so cool.
It is cool, though. That's the best, from what I recall. That's one of the better stories I got. It wasn't the initial interview. It was what he hit me with after, about his family. So it sounds like he had a history in his family of, seeing craft.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's another thing. What's with this whole generational picking one family line and following them for so long, these certain aliens? What's with that? I think that's the biggest conundrum for me in this whole thing. And I can get the time-space continuum type of thing where like maybe they're time travelers from the future, or they travel in time from different areas or different places, or maybe they're interdimensional and they're just in with us all the time in this dimension, on one side of the veil, and they just pop over. I can get that. My mind can wrap itself around so much. I'm surprised how much it can wrap itself around, to be honest with you. But what really blows my mind is this whole making little, genetic things they do in the little babies and the, I don't get it. I don't understand why they would even have to bother.
Right.
They're so far advanced than we are. What do they need to make, human hybrids for?
Maybe to walk amongst us. It's hard to say. To study us better. That's
maybe.
That's really all I can gather. That doesn't really make sense why they do that.
It's just, I wish somebody could give me that answer before I die. But what's wonderful is I have had an experience where I had an entity by the side of the bed, and I think I mentioned this a gazillion times on the show, and you probably have heard me say it, MJ. An entity came by the side of the bed. I was just falling asleep, and they touched my forehead. I felt this feather-light touch on my forehead, just drawing straight down a line like to the bridge of my nose. And it was so soft and so amazing, and it did something to me. And the next thing I knew, I was in a place where it was just brilliantly bright and full of love and absolutely unbelievable. And the next thing I know that they told me I had to go back. That's all I can remember. And I'm in my bed, and I'm depressed for 3 days. I didn't go to work. I cried and cried because I didn't want to be here anymore. I was contemplating suicide because I thought I died, and came back. And but now that I think about it, the older I get, I'm wondering if it wasn't an alien and they just took me somewhere and told me I wasn't going to remember anything when I got back. So maybe this dying that we do, maybe when we're dead, we're actually going to visit their planet or their place or being with them on the other side.
That's a possibility. And I have my own theories that, I believe Jesus came here as a entity to our planet, but if he came from above, does that not make him alien-like?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that.
Right.
This is where Stu Webb and Dr. Preston James and I just have like major battles at night. You should hear us. It's quite funny. Because they call them the aliens. They call them the aliens, but deep inside, and I love them both dearly. Don't get me wrong on this, folks. They're devout Christians, and they absolutely believe they're the fallen angels. And I totally go with it. But then I say, but why would God create these reptilian things and all that? Are they the devil? I mean, I guess so. Maybe there's just different types of aliens, and they become evil, and God cast them out apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just uglier than the good ones, I guess. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I can't figure it out.
I guess someday we'll know, and once we move beyond, we might know all the answers to this.
I think we will. I think they're just waiting to let us know after we're gone, because, it may be just way too much for us to handle here. How can you live a life knowing these answers? Because, that's what makes us human, MJ, is us not knowing anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then what would happen to Inception Radio Network?
Right.
If we had all the answers, you know?
We would.
There'd be no need.
Would be no need for it. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And then we couldn't sit around every night and contemplate what would happen if, and we have the most amazing people coming on this network. I mean, the guests that have come on Inception, they blow me away. They really do. What I love about my show, and I'm just going to pat myself on the back a little bit here, MJ, if it's okay with you.
Go ahead.
Is that I bring on people that are not known. I try to bring on as many people as I can find that are not known so that they can get their stories out and, tell the world what's going on for them,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that we're at that point. I think we're way beyond the point of, oh, yeah, well, Roswell happened in 1947. Well, yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Who knows? We'll never know. But what about, what's happening right now? Why don't we get those people to talk about what's really going on and happening to them right now? I think they're the most important people.
I totally agree with you, because I think the little people that you get on your show are being left out, because this guy seen an object. He's a trained observer. He's a police officer. He's a pilot. Yeah, he's seen something. But what about the average Joe that's on the street and a craft lands in front of him and no one's going to believe him because something actually happened? So there's a huge gap that we're missing, and I think you're doing well with bringing on people that are actually seeing this and telling their story from their heart. I mean, yeah, I believe the trained observers and stuff. I understand you're a cop, but you don't have to be a trained observer to have a craft or see an entity, in front of you. I mean, that's just not what it's all about. I mean, I just don't like the fact that if you're not a trained observer or anybody like that and you see something, nobody's going to believe you.
Absolutely. And, that's what I love about the people I bring on. They're just regular folk, and, and they deserve to get their word out there. And I've got a new guy that I'm trying to get on the show, but it'll be a while before I can get him to jump on in. A lot of them are so afraid, MJ. First of all, they're afraid to be on radio, and I totally get that. I tell the story every once in a while about my first radio show over on Revolution Radio. I was shaking so bad, and I had to, go throw up a couple times, and I was just horrified. And I truly thought, oh my God, I've got 22 people listening to me. I know, and I was petrified. I couldn't get a word out edgewise. And this is something I don't think a lot of people know. They may hear it in my voice, but I had a very bad speech impediment when I was a child. And we still don't know why. There's a lot of speculation that it might have had something to do with my poisoning. But I had a very hard time controlling my tongue, and I still have a hard time controlling my S's. So it's very hard for me to do that. And I really, seriously, when people said you're going to be talking in front of people and you're going to be well known and all this, all these psychics, all these years, I used to laugh because I was a professional dancer for a reason. That's because I didn't have to open my mouth,
You want to hear how
I wanted to be an actor, and then I realized, I can't do that because I can't talk properly, right? So it's a big struggle for me to get on the radio twice a week and do these shows and try to enunciate correctly so people can understand me.
My first show consisted of a 15-minute show on. I found BTR, Blog Talk Radio, decided to open an account. Went on there. I think I read 2 local Bigfoot sightings. Got nervous. Played music. Came on. Told another story and signed off. And I'm like, why the heck am I doing this? I think I lost Lorien, but I got her back. It was a little silence.
I'm here, I'm back.
We had that creepy silence of radio. I was telling people on my first show, and here I go, I'm talking to myself.
So go ahead. Now that we're back, tell them again what happened on your first show.
First show, I opened a Blog Talk Radio account. Always, was into the paranormal. Found a couple local Bigfoot shows. Started reading them. I think I started reading the first one, got very nervous, clicked off, played a song, came back on, read a story, then signed off. It's like, oh my God, why did I just do that?
I know. See, and it's interesting because I had made myself take a communications course at Portland Community College, and I didn't know this. I thought I'd be behind a camera doing videography. This is what I thought I was going to be doing, right? Okay, I get in there, then they say, and you have to do 3 months of this and 3 months of that and 3 months of DJing on the radio here at the college. And I was like, oh no, it was like my worst nightmare come true. So I only did about 4 weeks of it. I was able to talk them into letting me do producing for 4 weeks on the station, and then 4 weeks of learning how to run the equipment. And then I sat down and I did 4 weeks of DJing, and it was horrific. I was shaking so bad I could barely talk the whole time. And I never forgot that. I think that stood out in my mind my very first show over at Revolution Radio. I think it was just like reliving it all over again. It was horrific. Oh, and one thing I did do, MJ, I made my dad come on my show with me for the first month.
There you go.
I thought, who could I talk to on the radio that would calm me down enough to keep me from sitting here and, having to mute every 3 seconds to vomit, And I thought, my dad, he'll help me. He's good. He's great. He can do anything. My dad was a Toastmasters. He's spoken in front of hundreds of people. He used to teach classes. He's great. And I just thought, he could do it. And if he can do it, then I can do it. So I brought him on for about 4 weeks, and then he realized I was good on my own, and he just stopped showing up.
I grabbed my coworker, my assistant manager at my job, and we had our little tagline. I was MJ the Believer, and he was Adam the Skeptic. So,
cool.
So we had our own little tagline, and we started getting a small following on BTR, and then I came to IRN later that year in 2010. So my show is over 4 years old now, and
wow.
It's been on the network for 4 years. It's like some nights it's like all the chat knows, everybody on the network knows that I will not have a game or a show during a Packer game, so I will cancel my show. So coming in December, there might be some shows canceled, guys, so just letting you know.
Oh, now when is your show's on Sunday night?
Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, yeah. And my co-host at the moment is Ken Storich, and he's a former MUFON investigator. He is actually part of the Oklahoma Paranormal and UFO team right now, and Ken is doing a lot of investigations into animal harvesting. He calls it animal harvesting, which I agree with, because it's not just cows being harvested. It's every kind of animal. Could be humans, too. Oh, we have a caller.
Yay!
Hey.
We also have a question in chat. We'll have to get to them both.
Yeah, okay. Let's add the caller to the group here. Hello, caller from 613. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, this is the eVoice support rep. I'm just testing your lines. I'm just doing some line tests.
Oh, okay. So welcome to the show. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody out there.
There you go. Well, thanks for testing.
See, you guys, we're having trouble tonight, and the guy actually calls us. This is good.
There you go. Well, thanks for the help, and keep on trying to fix us there.
All right, no problem at all.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, bye. And that is an IRN first, Lorien.
You mean it's the first because they were actually trying to fix it?
We got the guy that's fixing it calling us on a live show. I mean, oh my.
Oh my God, that's funny. Well, here's our question. It's to both of us, MJ. It's from Durhuff again in chat. He says, does MUFON have any relationship with the infamous Robert Bigelow?
My sources tell me from what I've heard that there's not at the moment. So I think that goes back a few years ago, but from what I'm told, there's no relationship with Bigelow anymore.
That's what I've been told too. But now, and I hate to say this because now I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but maybe you and I aren't being told everything. You never know.
Right. Oh yeah. What happens at the board stays at the board, I'm sure. I mean, that is what
right.
it is. That is what it is, and they can do what they want. It's fine with me.
Absolutely. And I have to laugh because then it's like we're equating the board of MUFON as like the Warren Commission and the JFK assassination.
Yep.
Oh my God, isn't that terrible?
Chat's loving the live radio moment when the guy called in to test on live shows.
I hope Joe's listening. He'll get a kick out of that.
I'll have to tell Joe that too. Well, Lorien, do you think our listeners know about the ways to become a MUFON investigator? I can go through that real quick.
Yeah,
too.
why don't you? Because, it's interesting you said, I was just thinking that. You must have been reading my mind, MJ, because we just had a meeting up in Sacramento that Ruben put on about a month ago where he had people come to a regular MUFON meeting place and show them what it's like to be a field investigator.
Very cool.
And people loved it. There were about 20 or 30 people there, and half of them are becoming investigators now up in Northern California. So, yeah, tell people what they need to know because it's not as daunting as you think it is, really, right?
No, it's not that bad. So, of course, you go to MUFON.com, and there are tabs at the top of the site. If you scroll over, the fourth one across will say, it actually says get involved. Scroll down, and it'll tell you how to become a field investigator. So you click on that. There are a few steps. First, you join MUFON, of course. It's $45 a year for the journal to be mailed to you. It's $35 to do the e-journal. You're going to want to find your local chapter, and right as the second step's on there, it's kind of nice because if you click find a chapter, it pulls up the states, United States.
Yeah,
and
it's wonderful.
And I seen my mugshot. I just looked at it five minutes ago, and it's a picture of me. It's actually a picture of me catching a salmon in a river. I mean, it's just my face though, but I know the rest of the picture I'm holding a fish, which is kind of weird. So
okay, now I got to go look at it. Now you got me
that's
curious.
Me holding a salmon along a river in Wisconsin. I kind of hooked into a nice one day, so that's me posing and my girlfriend taking a picture. Third, you'll get your copy of your manual in the mail, and there, so study the manual. It's open book test. I believe the test is taken online now. When I did it, it was still done by paper, and I did mail it in, and I don't know what I passed with, but it wasn't a hard test. Take the test. Nextly, they'll want you to upload a photo of yourself, a current photo. So, and it's got to be a certain format, stuff like that. So then you get your results back. Then you're an investigator, and then what you want to do is with someone in your chapter in your state, you're going to want to go along a few times, with MUFON investigator and learn the ropes. And you know what? It's a neat thing. So you can learn a lot. You learn how to interview. You learn how to contact people. You kind of feel like you're like a PI on TV when I'm doing the interviews. And I know some other field investigators even, record the interviews, so which is a good thing too, but you do have to ask for permission to that. But that's really all it takes. And you could probably get this done in a month. I would look over the manual pretty good and take the test. Well, it'd take about a month and you could be in. And definitely the state of Wisconsin, we need help. I mean, some other states are lacking people too, and definitely go to MUFON.
I think every state's lacking people at this point. I haven't heard from one director in any state saying, oh yeah, we're okay. Not yet, anyhow. Hey, let me ask you this, MJ. I heard a rumor, and I can't remember whether I heard it from Devlin or Ruben or Cynthia here in Northern California. But are they doing background checks on the investigators now?
They do a background check. Thank you. I was just going to mention.
Okay,
that, yeah.
and I think we need to disclose that too.
Yes, that's Yeah, I guess it's just checks and balances. You want to be sure everyone's a legit person and.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me at all if they wanted to do a background check on me. Hopefully they'd find out more than I know. Maybe they'll find out I'm actually Palladian. Who knows?
There's a good question from Derhuff. Can you see chat there?
No, actually, I was going over to MUFON. Let me close.
I'll ask you. You'll know more about this because you do the meetings. How anonymous is each MUFON chapter from the mothership? So.
Oh, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at least mine is. I mean, I am told what I can and cannot do pretty much just like on the radio show. And I think you guys all understand that. I have to have people on that talk about UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, crop circles, that kind of thing. MUFON has given me guidelines on who I can have speaking at my meetings as well. I can't bring in people that are doing ghost busting and what have you. Now, having said that, there's something I do, and I think Jan has heard about it through the grapevine. I'm sure he has at some point, is that every October I have what I call Conspiracy Month at my meeting, and it has nothing to do with UFOs or aliens. It has to do with whatever I want it to be. This year it was about smart meters and things like that. Last year it was about Fukushima. I think next year I'm going to do the JFK assassination. It's like I just give it a different twist because it's Halloween month, and I just figure, you know what? Everybody gets 11 months out of the year of UFOs and aliens. I'll give them 1 month where they can, we can cut loose. We had a healer guy come in at the end of our meeting last month. In October. And, he did some demonstration about his sound healing, that Phil Cava actually started working with this guy, and he came to the meeting and he said, I want to show people. I said, sure, it's Conspiracy Month. Do whatever you want, but the other, 11 months out of the year, I do have, UFO related topics or alien related topics or, that type of thing. So yes, I mean, they do have control over about kind of what we talk about, but they don't have control over what it is the content can be about. Because as long as I'm staying within the genre, I mean, I've had, like, James Bartley was my last presenter because Niara Isley, who was also going to present, couldn't make it. And at the last minute, I was doing what I call Skype butt dialing. And I saw that James was on, and he said, yeah, I'll do it. So there you go. And he fascinated and blew people away, but, he's got a whole different view about what the aliens are doing here, and he doesn't think it's good. He scared everybody. And, and they left like, wow, that was heavy, But, but I always keep it around aliens or UFOs because that's what MUFON requires. And at the beginning of the meeting, I try very hard to read off the sightings of the month, and I get everybody trying to sign up for MUFON. And, I'm doing my best to promote MUFON because you know what? Those guys work really hard for no money that run the whole organization. And I know how hard it is to run an organization and get paid for it. I can't even imagine what it's like when most of these people that are volunteering, and especially the field investigators, are out there doing all of this for no compensation,
Right. Lorraine is actually from Canada, but she had a good question too about, I wonder what the membership is in Canada. I would have to check into that for her and see how.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. But I can get back to you on that, and I'll try to check in with somebody from Canada. I mean, I don't even have contacts myself, but I'm sure I can find one or talk to somebody, and it is a good question.
Yeah. Oh, and Neutron he was making a comment in the chat room a little while ago. Neutron was. He says, according to the above studies, they need to temporarily borrow the soul energy to keep their hybrid clones alive. From my understanding, they use an alchemy process to trick the soul to temporarily change to clone by tricking the soul or I think that was a repeat clone, by transferring the memory into the clone to fool the soul. So I don't know what they were talking about, but I found that and I thought that's fascinating. Whatever they were discussing, it sounds very intriguing.
Interesting.
Let's see. Bill saying the issue started 10 years. It's Carla Turner. I should have known. And Bartholic. Yeah. See, when James Bartley was on, when he was our guest speaker at my last MUFON meeting on November 1st, we were all talking about Carla Turner and Barbara Bartholic because they were his mentors. And as of course we know, Barbara died, and Carla, in my opinion, and also James, is that she was murdered for talking like she does.
Strange world.
Yeah, very much so. And Carla was just adamant that whatever they're doing here is not for our benefit. So, there are those people, and God bless them. I hope they're wrong. That's all I got to say. But I'm not, the older I get, the more I'm beginning to think that they might be on the right horse,
Right.
Yeah.
So, Lorien, when do you think disclosure's coming, or do you think we've had it already?
Oh, I think disclosure's already here and gone. I think Art Bell was disclosure, honestly. Because like I said, how long was he on the air? 15 years? 14? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever length of time he was on the air, he reached how many people a night was it back in the day? 10 million?
Mm-hmm.
That changed 10 million people's consciousness on a nightly level, and people were dedicated to this guy. People that had to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning would be up, trying to keep awake until 2, and or they. What was that?
I worked midnight, so I did get to listen to him.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, I really think that, and X-Files just changed everything for so many people, that disclosure isn't even a question of oh yeah, they're going to tell us. If Obama came out tomorrow and said to everybody, oh, by the way, we have aliens too, I think everybody would be just oh, okay. But the real question that people need to be asking, MJ, is, who are they communicating with? How long have they been here? And how come we didn't get to know about it? That's the real questions.
So what's really going on?
Yeah, that's what we want to know. It's not, are they here? Who cares? I don't care because I know they're here. Whether they're here physically or interdimensionally or whatever, we know that they're making contact. I want to know why they hid them from us, or why maybe they're in control of our government and we don't know about it, or, I want to know what's going on, and I want the truth. And you know what? That's something that we're not getting very much, and we're not getting a lot of answers, and they don't want us to have them. So that tells me something right there. It tells me there's something really nefarious going on, and we're never going to know because we can't know for some strange, horrible reason.
Why do you think we can't know? What are they scared of?
Well, I'm worried that they're going to say, oh, yeah, those 20,000 people that go missing every year? Well, those were in milkshakes for aliens.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Maybe that's why we're never going to know the answer, because maybe there's a species out there that uses us for, Safeway,
Mm-hmm. Getting us into national parks. Yep.
Yeah. Paul Pilatus, is that his name?
I think so. Something like that, yeah.
The guy who writes the book about that. He scares me half to death. And, it could all be true, folks. I don't know. But we do know that there's a lot of very good entities out there, too.
Yeah,
we know.
With the good, there's the
whether
bad.
they're angels or, what, but there's some very, very good ones. So there we are. I can't believe it. I'm just looking at the clock. We got less than a minute left. Where did tonight go?
It kind of flew, didn't it?
It did. I was thinking, gee, I wonder if MJ and I are going to be able to keep this up all night. Well, that was ridiculous. Hey, folks, we're now I'm on a roll and I got more things to talk about. It was time to go.
Who you got locked in for next week? Anybody we know? Or
Oh, yes, Plutronus is coming back.
Cool.
We couldn't get him on. Remember the night that I tried to get Robert and Plutronus on the show?
Yeah, we could not get you on the air.
Yeah, Mr. Plutronus, my buddy, he's going to be on. So there we are.
Okay, well, I guess that's a wrap. You can go ahead and
Well, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody.
There you
So,
go.
hey, everyone, thanks a lot. MJ, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for being
No
on my
problem.
show tonight. This was lots of fun.
No problem.
We'll do it again.
Yes, we'll do it again. Definitely.
Okay, everyone, have a great week. I'll see you next time with Patronus here on the California MUFON Radio Show. Good night.